Hello, Mark Crossfield here. Today's Golf Swing Weekly Fix. We're going to talk a bit about putting. It's a club I always have enjoyed in my golfing life. It's a part of the game I've always really enjoyed practicing. I'm here in Switzerland, Cran-sur-Sierre Golf Club, Cran, Montana. Beautiful place. Let's talk about a bit of putting, see if we can get you lowering your scores. Let's get stuck in. So let's talk grip first, so the way you want to hold this club. Also the kind of grips you might want to put on it. You can see here I've got a very thick grip on my putter, which has become quite fashionable. Now the grip I choose to use is a classic putting grip. So basically it's easiest way to obtain it would be a 10-finger hold, so no interlocking or overlapping. I get my thumbs down the flat front of my putter grip, and the first finger on my left hand comes off, points down at the floor over the free of my right hand. Also trying to make sure I position the putter very much up through the middle of my palm, so coming up through this part of my palm. Definitely not taking the classic hitting grip that I would do where the club's out in front of me. That's allowing me to put lots more kind of leverage and power into it. I'm going much more for palms towards the target feel in my hold. Now there's variations on this grip. Another one I quite like seeing students use is the prayer grip. So basically get the two thumbs matching into each other and then the fingers down the flat sides of the grip. The prayer grip for me, certainly with a fat grip like this, always feels very comfortable. If I ever had any problems with my putting, I would go to this grip straight away. This grip as well, when I've tested with students, tends to really change the way they control the face as they make their stroke. It often puts a lot less rotation in the face for them, which I always think is quite interesting. So it's a go-to grip for me, the prayer grip, for lots of golfers who maybe are struggling a little bit with controlling the face and a little bit of aim as well. Now you're also seeing a lot of players at the moment, I'm seeing a lot of golfers using the reverse grip, so left hand below right as a right-handed golfer. Jordan Spieth obviously making this one very popular at the moment. He's a fantastic putter. Back in the day when I was playing more, a reverse putting hand grip was there for people maybe you felt like who were struggling with their putting, where I'm seeing lots of kids coming through actually learning to play this way. Very good for getting your shoulders more level. So if you imagine if we're building like a pendulum, we would have maybe a straight bar here parallel to the ground, two bits coming off, and it would rock. When I have my left hand above my right, my pendulum might be a little bit more tilted. My spine will tilt a little bit more, where the reversed hand grip does get your shoulders feeling a little bit more level for lots of golfers. The main standout point with golf grip is that you use something that is most comfortable for you. You'll notice through lots of golfers' careers is that they do actually change their grip subject to how they're feeling. Let's look a little bit more about how you might stand. So when it comes to standing to the golf ball, again there's many variations. I see good putters with wide stances. I personally stand with my feet very, very close together. It's again getting something that's very comfortable for you. Now lots of putting coaches I've seen definitely go for the more wide, stable base, so getting your feet maybe kind of hip distance apart. Then from there, trying to get the ball position to work out a little bit more to the middle of your body. I would have it just slightly forward of the middle of your body. So if I was to have a narrow stance like I have, so that ball position is still on the left side of my chest, but the ball's opposite my big toe on my left foot. If I widen my stance, my body position's not changed, but you can see the ball position's moved, not quite centre, just forward of centre. So ball position in relationship to your feet a little bit with putting could be dangerous. I'd get it a little bit more in line with your body. Now for me, I'm very much having a handle and shaft that comes straight up. I don't want to put any particular lean in there. You will see some great players who have the forward presses and what have you. Something I've never taught, something I've often discouraged, to be honest with you, with lots of students who might be coming for lessons who are struggling with their putting, because you've got to be very good at seeing the angles if you start changing the angles just before you start. So what I mean by that, when I'm putting, I'm seeing lots of lines. So I'm really seeing the lines I want the ball to go along. I'm creating in my head right angle lines from this white to black on my Versa putter here going out straight in front of me, so right angles to where I want to aim the ball. I'm seeing all these imaginary lines, and if I was just to kind of add an angle just before I'm going to go, those lines are all going to move, they're all going to tilt. So often for students it's something I would discourage. Now if a student comes to me and they're putting well and the forward press works, I would let them do it. Again, putting is so personal. So ball position just on your left side of your body. Play with what stance feels more comfortable. So if you feel more comfortable with the wider one, I've always felt comfortable with the very close together feet. It feels to me like I've got more touch from this position. When I stand in the wide position, it gives me a solid base, but it feels a little bit brutal, like I'm going to hit something hard. I quite like feet together, feels nice and comfortable. So when it comes to stroke, you'll hear lots of things talked about stroke. So you can have straight back, straight through ideas. You'll have more rounded to straight back, rounded kind of curved ideas with stroke. For me, I have a stroke that is curving, so it's not straight back, straight through, but I see it in my head as straight back, straight through. So when I measure my stroke on things like Sam Putt Lab, which imagine is like a launch monitor for a putter, it's watching where the putter goes, if you like, or measuring where the putter goes. I have a curve and arc to my stroke. It certainly isn't a straight line back and through, but in my head, the way I see it is as a straight back and straight through. I remember growing up doing lots of putting up against a skirting board in my house for a straight line and trying to keep my putter moving along that straight line as much as possible. The actual nature of me being stood to the side of the ball and the shaft not being completely upright is always going to lend itself to a bit of natural curve, but my mind and my eye is seeing that as a straight back, straight through idea. Now with that ball position slightly forward of my on my left side of my chest, so slightly forward of my centre, that also makes me feel like I'm going to hit the ball very slightly on the upswing, which is something I want to be doing. I want to be hitting up at the ball and then presenting not too much loft. So I want to be presenting less loft than I do in my angle of attack to try and make sure I'm getting that ball rolling as quick as possible. It's something I see amateurs really struggle with. So a little feel for me of having that ball forwards and the slight upward hit at the putt, not always going in, but certainly giving me some of my best options with the putter. So let's go through a few drills that you could use on the putting green that might help you improve. I'm going to do a little strike drill to start me off here. If you think about distance control, such a key part of putting, this putting green has a lot of slopes. It's a very tricky putt to hold. This putt is going sideways at the end. The pace I hit this putt is severely going to determine how much break I try and use. So it's something that's always at the forefront of my putting thoughts, is the pace, how hard or soft I'm trying to hit a putt. Now, if you are striking the ball on different parts of the face and not striking it in the same place every time, it doesn't have to be the centre, if you're just not striking it in the same spot every time, then the ball's going to be coming off at different speeds, which you can imagine for this putt, subject to how I strike it, which I'm not going to know until I hit it, I'm going to have to aim in different places. So getting a consistent strike on the putter is a great way of getting some distance control, which for lots of people helps them hole a lot more putts. So I've got two balls on the outside, literally creating a little gate the size of my putter. So if I was to misstrike this, I am going to hit one of the outside or inside balls. So I'm going to hit some putts, trying to hit that middle ball without touching the outside ones. It's tricky, and it does really make you focus on delivering that club a little bit more constructively up to the face of the ball. I mean, you can see those two putts, such a difficult putt, this one. Probably should have set myself up in a slightly easier spot. Oh, how did that not go in? So for me, their strike was in the same place every time. They didn't go in because this is a severe breaking putt. 3 not bad efforts. I feel if I can strike it in the same place every time, I'm going to improve my distance control. So another distance control drill, I used to do this loads as a kid. I've got one ball, I've got plenty of room on the putting green. I'm going to see how much I can two putt going back and forth between two holes. This is giving me a long putt and a short putt. It's also giving me an idea of a bit more of a competitive, realistic edge, which I like. So the first drill is fine, but it's very unrealistic. Obviously those balls aren't going to be there when I'm on the putting green, when I'm on the course. This is a more realistic kind of in-game practice, so the ones I kind of like. Let's go see if I can finish that. So there's my two putt So I'm now going to go back. Now this green has a lot of slope, so this is going to be a very challenging 2-putt, but I do quite like to do it this way. If I find this too hard after a certain amount of times, I might pick an easier second one, because this is literally going to go sideways. That's too low. So it's practicing my first putt, and then it's also going to practice my second, my hole out putt as well. Going backwards and forwards, seeing how many times you can complete that in 2 is the game. I mean, when I used to practice this when I was younger, I used to be able to kind of keep going and going and going forever. And my long putting at the moment certainly is kind of one of my skills. So another very useful drill, you'll see this a lot. I've got 4 putts. There's that kind of hole out area, and they're obviously uphill, downhill, left to right, right to left. By going all 4 sides of the hole here, I'm going to be able to practice every putt that you might get on the golf course. I would do this drill, seeing how many times I could complete. I'd also be looking at the data as I do this, which one I'm struggling with most, and then I might focus a little bit more on the downhill left to rights or the uphill right to lefts. I'd think about when I'm chipping or when I'm hitting shots into greens. You know, I'm holding so many more right to left putts, so I might try and leave myself in that position if that is ever a possibility. This is a great drill to do for all golfers to challenge their skill set, and also to get some great data that they can take out onto the course to try and make sure they leave themselves in the right place. There we go, some putting ideas. To finish, I'm going to give you one more idea that I use a lot and used to use when I was competing. When I'm going to practice my putting, often the last thing you do before you go out and play, I would always practice with one ball. I still do this. So I would use the ball I'm going to play with, I'd get on the putting green, and I would hit just different random putts, as well as tapping the ball in, just to get the feel of one ball, realistic ideas of what's going to happen just about as I'm going to play. I see lots of people come on with 3 or 4 balls. That's fine if it works for you, but for me that just never made any sense. It made it feel less realistic. I want this to almost feel like the first green. I want to recreate that pressure, so how many times I'm going to hole or 2-putt, those kind of things, hit some long ones, some short ones, and also, like I said, I'm tapping in the small ones as well, which I'm going to do if I'm going to go out there and compete. Making this as realistic as possible, in my mind, for me, helps me get on that first screen and feel prepared and ready.
Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Periscope, all the normal social places. Also, come and visit my new website, markcrossfieldgolf.com. See you over there.